Hanni, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to another video. If you're here for the first time, hi, my name is Hanni. Please help us reach 1,000 subscribers by simply hitting the subscribe button and turning on the bell notification so you get notified every time I post a new video, and I post a new video every Wednesday on this channel. Yeah, so if you're not subscribed yet, even if it's not the first time here but you're not subscribed yet, like please, I'm begging now at this point. Like, no, I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, so please help me reach 1,000 subscribers by hitting the subscribe button and joining the fam. Anyways, today's video is I would say a very personal video. It's something I've struggled with for the longest. Like, it's just something that for the longest time never wanted to open about it. So for the fact that I'm actually doing this on a YouTube video is actually out of my comfort zone, to say the least. But yeah, today I'm going to be sharing my story of how I became deaf, or other people might refer to it as hard of hearing. I'll probably do another video where I explain all these things to someone that doesn't actually understand what it means, because I've actually went around to YouTube and I've tried to look for people in a similar situation as me telling their stories, and it's kind of different for everyone, and I've came to realize that every situation is different from the other and everybody explains it differently. And so yeah, I like to refer to myself as hard of hearing. I would sometimes refer to myself as deaf as well. So everybody refers to themselves in a different way. There are terminologies basically, but that's something for another video. But for today's video, I thought I would come and speak about, or just tell my story of how I became deaf and how I basically found that I was deaf. So I'm actually filming this at night, so it's cold. So we're gonna have some tea just so we can stay warm, keep ourselves warm. Okay. Okay, so my story began in, I guess it was December holiday, and I was in grade 6 or 7. I can't tell. It was either grade 6 or grade 5 or 7. It was just between grade 5 to 7. Like, I can't remember exactly which year it was. My childhood memory is weak, guys. But yeah, I can't remember exactly which year it was, but it was a school holiday, and I was in primary school. It was between grade 6 and 7. So my mom at the time used to own a hair salon, and at the same time she used to sell okapana. Not kapana, okapana, like the Vaherero okapana, not kapana like single kotas kapana, no. Okapana, the one for Vaherero. So she used to sell kapana, and she used to own a hair salon, and she also used to sell ice blocks. So it was like a whole business thing. And so one weekend she basically, we didn't have ice, right, but she left the fridge on. So we got home, and she asked me and another guy who was like my neighbor, so like my childhood friend basically, and he was my neighbor, and he was a little bit older than me. He wasn't the same age as me, but we were around the same age. We used to play together, right? But he was maybe 2 years older than me, but was also in the same grade as I. So I don't know, he was older than me, but we used to play together, and he wasn't that old. It was basically an age difference of 3 or 2 years. Anyways, my mom asked me and this guy to go to the shop, right, to switch off the fridge. It was like, we'll be wasting electricity since there's no ice blocks. It will be a waste of electricity, so we should, I don't know how to tell stories, guys. I'm gonna be all over the place. Yeah, so have to go to the shop, switch off the electricity, right? So me and this guy walk to the shop, you know, kids playing, whatever. We get to the shop and I enter first, okay? So I am very much aware that my mom sent me with this guy because he was older than me, so he was supposed to be the one switching off the electricity, but me, hyperness, Hanni, whatever, like, I I got into the shop first, so I decided to switch off the electricity before him, right? So I get in and I go straight to the plug, and then you know when you are switching off a plug, like especially deep freezer, whatever, you need to at least turn off the switch, then you pull out the plug, right? So I just came right there and just pulled out the plug without having to turn on the switch, and then obviously you know what happens. It was not my day. I was unlucky. So yeah, I got electrocuted. And yeah, I got electrocuted, and then I guess for like a few minutes I just stood there like shocked, right? I was just in shock. So he comes up to me and he's like, "Hanni, are you fine?" Because like I was just staring at him. I was not saying anything. I was just staring at him. Like, "Hanni, are you fine?" And I'm like, "Yeah." It was just like, I was just electrocuted, but it was just, I just thought at that moment, like, it was just a light touch, you know, of electricity, like, yeah. You know how sometimes, I know like when you have those irons that you put in hot water, that you put in water, the steaming irons, it happens, man. It's like, I'm sure like most people have felt this type of, being electrocuted this way. Like most people have felt this, but yeah. So for me, I felt like, it's just when you touch the, like, you know, when you touch against someone and then you get those electrons and then you get electrocuted, that kind of feeling. But this time around it was just a little bit more intense, but I just said, oh no, it's just a small thing, right? And they're like, oh, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. Okay. So we lock up, we get home, right? And then he tells my mom about the situation. I'm like, "Hanni, are you fine? Are you sure you're fine?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And he's like, "Do you need to go to the hospital?" I'm like, "No, I don't need to go to the hospital. I'm fine." Okay, so a few weeks go by and I start noticing I'm having like a brown line on one side of my tongue. Like I can't remember which side it is though, but yeah, I'm having a brown line on one side of my tongue, right? Yeah, so I just never took it serious. I just never related it to me getting, okay, at that moment I did I related to being electrocuted, but I was like, it doesn't hurt, it's just a brown line, it's just there, like there's no pain. So in my mind, you only go to the hospital when you are most obviously in pain. Like, how am I gonna go, hey, I have a brown line, it doesn't hurt, like what? So yeah, obviously I didn't go to the hospital. But at this moment I didn't even realize I lost my hearing, or like it wasn't at this, like I didn't still notice that, you know, I'm having difficulties with hearing, because I don't know how to explain it. I didn't lose my hearing like suddenly, like it just started going like little by little, like as the years started progressing, the harder it became for me to hear. So for the most time my mom would just think like, oh, she's ignorant, or like, no, she doesn't, like I'm talking to her but she doesn't want to respond, such things, man. Like, so she never really look at it as if like I'm having difficulties with hearing. So I remember when I got to grade 8, I think that's when we started doing a lot of listening comprehensions in English, right? And so I started to always fail, like every single listening comprehension we wrote, I would just fail. So like I wouldn't get why. And then my mom was like, no, but honey, then I also noticed at the same time, I also noticed that I would get in arguments with people based over the fact that they would say they are speaking to me and I didn't hear them, and then they would be like, I was speaking to you, why were you ignoring me, that kind of thing. Like I started picking this up from people, not just from my mom or my siblings, I would also pick it up from people at school or teachers at school. So I guess I told one day, I think I got into an argument with my mom and she's like, yeah, I'm speaking to you, like why can't you, it wasn't an argument, it's just basically scolding me, like I'm speaking to you, why can't you hear me, right? And I'm like, no, I didn't hear you. Like I was like dead serious, like I didn't hear you. So I guess it was at this point that my mom started taking my complaint of I don't sometimes hear seriously. So what I should actually do for her to now realize that I really cannot hear is that she would listen, like basically say something while I'm not looking at her, say something to me while I'm not looking to her, and see if I can hear or not. And then most of the time I wouldn't hear her when she's saying something to me and I'm not looking at her, so she'd come all the way in front of me and like say whatever she wants to say, right? And so that's how we noticed that I had problems with hearing. So it was that, and plus always failing my listening comprehensions, being it And it wasn't just listening comprehensions that I would fail. I would also fail spelling test. You know how a spelling test they'd be like cat, and I would end up writing maybe, I don't know, something along the lines with cat but not cat. So like I'll always fail my spelling test and my listening comprehensions. And then my mom was like, no, like that's not possible. And I would always get into a fight with my Oshiero teacher at the time, Miss Dambruka. I would always get into a fight with her for miss spelling words. Like when she's marking, I'll go to her like, no, you said this word, you didn't say this word. And she'd be like, no, this is the word that I said. Like, look at everyone, this is the word that they wrote. And I'm like, but this is the word I had. Like, you know, like maybe she might say ondu and then I will hear ondu. Like just stuff like that. Like, what English words are they similar? I don't know, guys. Like, I would just get words that are similar wrong. Like somebody would say something and then in my head I hear something and that's what I would write, right? So I would always fail because of that. And so when we got to grade 10, that's when my mom was like, okay, now like I don't want you to fail grade 10. Grade 10 is basically you have most of that listening comprehension test that people used to write in grade 10. So my mom was like, no, we need to go get you hearing aids, right? So no, basically she didn't say we need to go get you hearing aids. She's like, no, we need to get you tested, like to see if you are really having difficulties with breathing, hearing. So yeah, guys, I'm thirsty. Let me just bring up the question. Okay, so yeah, one holiday, I think it was April or August holiday, those school holidays, my mom takes me to Windhoek and we see an ear specialist. We take the test. We find out I have hearing problems in both my ears, but it's worse in one ear. And yeah, so I got hearing aids. I think that was my first set of hearing aids, and I would never always use, like, I was that person that just never really worn their hearing aids, because it's like I could still hear when somebody is speaking to me. It's just that I needed them to either look at me or get my attention, and then I focus on what they are saying, right? The only time I wouldn't hear is when I have to listen to the TV, when I have to listen to an audio, or when I have to listen to an announcement. Like if it's a general conversation, like say a teacher teaching in class, or a conversation that is not personal, that is not between me and that person. And when it's a conversation that's like, you know, I have to listen to a group conversation or so, like I would struggle with that type of hearing. So most of the times, the only time I'd wear my hearing aid would be in classes, when I'm going for a test, like when I'm going out in public or stuff like that. But I wouldn't just wear my hearing aid when I'm at home or at the hostel doing nothing. I used to stay in the hostel, by the way. So yeah, I would never wear my hearing aid at those times. And I would go to town sometimes and just put it in my handbag, right, and not be wearing it. And for me, it was kind of also like I couldn't adjust, or it just took me longer than the normal person for me to actually adjust to the whole, not noises, but like the sound that it makes. Like there's the sounds that the hearing aid makes. Like it's not the same sound as, like, you know, your normal hearing or normal speech sound. So I would hardly ever wear my hearing aid. But I guess when I got to university, that's when I started wearing my hearing aid more, because that's when it got more difficult for me to hear. So it's like as the years are going, my hearing gets worse. So when I got to university, was it grade 12, I went for my second hearing test, and it showed the obvious there, that my hearing is getting worse, or like as the years are going, it's getting worse. Yeah, so guys, that's how I found out that I'm deaf. That's my deaf or hard of hearing story. Yes, I do wear hearing aids, or I used to wear hearing aids. But if you haven't seen one of my videos back, like a few of my videos back, maybe 4 or 5 videos back, I made a video on how I got robbed. So during that robbery, I lost my hearing aids. So, and they are pretty expensive, so this is why I haven't been wearing hearing aids. I've basically been trying to figure it out as it goes, as life goes, and I've just been taking every day as it is and just trying harder, you know, to I've actually been learning, like, or I don't know how to explain this, but like I have learned, like, there are certain people whose lips I can read. Like, I've learned to read certain people's lips, so I'm kind of learning how to read lips at the moment. But yeah, eventually I'll obviously get my hearing aid back, but for now we'll be roaming the streets without hearing aids. But it's not that big of a deal. Like, I can still hear without my hearing aids. It's just, it's harder and it needs more concentration, it takes more attention, more effort, and it's what it is. So yeah, if you've watched this video until the end, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like me to make more content on my hearing and just explaining my whole hearing situations to you guys, then just let me know down below and I'll talk more about my hearings. And yeah, thank you for watching this video. If you watched it until the end, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. After you're done with that, turn on the bell notification so you get notified every time I post a new video. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. See you in my next video.